Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Bank to the Future Live. I am currently in transit at the Langham Hotel in London. I've just come back from the Hong Kong trip and just in transit as we move across the different continents. So thank you for tuning in again for another episode of Bank to the Future Live. I think we're getting better at these things. So if there are a few live viewers here at the moment, then could you just put some comments in the live chat to let us know that you can hear me okay, because we don't want to carry on and no one can hear us, but I think everything's working okay. And I'm going to carry on. As usual, we've got Famida here. So if there are any issues, she'll interrupt me and let me know. And she'll also be moderating and introducing questions as they come through. So we've had a few questions in Telegram, in Facebook, on our Twitter account and various other places, and our LinkedIn profile. So we'll attempt to get through some of those and consolidate them, as well as our Telegram channel. And also, if questions come up as we go through the Bank to the Future live episode, then please do share those. And a little bit of housekeeping before we move over to the screen share. Today I'm going to be talking about something quite interesting and a topic that has actually been talked about quite frequently in the securities token market, but has actually become quite relevant on the BnkToTheFuture.com platform. And it creates a really interesting investment opportunity for qualifying investors as well, to look at and try and capitalize and take advantage of the opportunities that present themselves. And that is the concept of a liquidity discount and premium. While that may sound really geeky, it relates to some of our secondary market valuations and primary market valuations. And I'm going to go through that today so that you can understand a little bit more about that and how it relates to the BnkToTheFuture.com platform, and how there are some very specific, interesting arbitrage opportunities on the platform as we currently speak. So although that sounds a lot of financial, geeky terms, hopefully it will be very simple and you'll understand that by the time this episode is over. So just to recap the format, and I'm going to switch over at this stage to my screen. But just before I do that, some housekeeping. In order to help us with these live broadcasts, do please like this video, please share this video on any of the social networks. And please use the live comments because Google uses it in their algorithm to determine how popular a video is. And the better we get at these things, the more we promote them to our investor community. Most people are currently watching the recordings as opposed to the live, but the more people we start getting on the live, the more new people we will reach to. And so we really appreciate your help for doing that. And also, if you want to get a notification each and every week that we go live, then you got to simply, below this video, you'll see a subscribe button, a big red one, if YouTube hasn't changed their interface. And if you click that button, then it will make sure that you're notified. But you've got to click the little bell button next to it. Some people may not know that, but if you click the bell button next to the subscription, then YouTube will actually send you an email notification every time we go live and every new time we add some content. So we make sure you do that if you want to not miss any of these live broadcasts and be a part of the developments that are happening on BnkToTheFuture.com. And also, for those of you that are tuning in for the first time, then we are building a little archive and playlist. If you go to the blog on BnkToTheFuture.com, you'll be able to find episodes 1 to 5. And each week we're covering a slightly different topic, so it's worth starting at the beginning if you fancy that. And then we cover some questions, and we're developing a bit of a format here where we do some updates from some of our portfolio companies. And take some of the live questions and go through some of the new pitches that are live, some of the new secondary market opportunities, any updates with the BF wallet, the BnkToTheFuture.com main application, and also the Bank to the Future token, BFT. So I'm going to now move over to my screen share, and what normally happens is you should see an infinite screen of me getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Famida will interrupt me if there's any issues there, but hopefully at this stage you can see the BnkToTheFuture.com website with this sample account that we use in order to go through different things. Just checking that I'm all logged into the right account and everything's working okay. Yep. And hopefully the hotel Wi-Fi is strong enough. So far it's keeping up. Last week I got kicked out a couple of times, so we had to cut some of your questions short, but we got through most of it, and that was at the Langham Hotel in Hong Kong. So without further ado, let's go through some of the I've got some show notes here, but the first thing we'll do is go through live pitches. So if you've attended some of the other previous BnkToTheFuture.com live episodes, you'll know that a couple of pitches are going to be closing shortly that have already reached their minimum funding goal. When you log into the platform, once you've been through all your verification, certification, and you've created your account, then you get access to all the pitches that are applicable to you depending on your country of residence, and depending on what you're able to invest in and whether you're a qualifying investor or not, which is defined by where you live and where you reside, and it won't let you take an action unless you do qualify. So even if you haven't been through the verification process, when you click on a pitch and go through to the investor page, for example here, we have the trustee pitch here right now that is coming to a close shortly. If you clicked on that investor page and you hadn't actually completed your certification process, then once you click on that, it will take you through the process of making sure that you are a qualifying investor. And depending on the type of pitch, there'll be a slightly different process, and depending on your country of residence, there'll be a slightly different process, which is dependent upon securities laws in the countries that you actually reside. But it won't let you take an action. So if you actually do make an investment, then you have passed the particular process for your country and for that particular pitch. If it doesn't let you make an investment, then it means you've either got to do something, or you may not necessarily qualify to invest in that pitch, because each one is unique, unfortunately. It depends on a number of factors: where you reside, what you've done on the platform, and also pitches have the right to exclude certain countries where they may not want to take on investors because they may not want some of the burden that comes with taking on investors in that country. So some of the pitches that already will be closing soon is we've got Trustee here. For those of you that don't know, Trustee is an application that has created a compliance module for the growth of the securities token industries, whereby addresses can be whitelisted and sanctions checks can be done, and everything that one needs to do if a token is actually a security to comply with comply with certain securities laws. And so it's an important part of the ecosystem as securities tokens become a thing. Going back here to the Invest tab, which is where you can find all new primary market listings. And these are all listings that are available to ordinary members. Now, remember, if you are a premium member, which means that you have deposited a minimum of 10,000 BnkToTheFuture.com tokens, BnkToTheFuture tokens, rather, to your account, then you see additional deals that other people don't see. And what happens is every deal that goes live, you get 48 hours head start. And as we've seen this week, often a deal can be completely sold out within that 48 hours. And therefore, you may not ever see an opportunity if you're not a premium member. So it's definitely worth considering. This is on the Invest tab where you'll be able to see that. So Trustee is an example of one of the pitches that is closing shortly. As that comes to an end, you can see how many days are left on the pitch. We got Start Engine, which is a US equity crowdfunding platform, which is focused on US businesses raising finance in compliance with US securities laws. And as opposed to BnkToTheFuture.com, where we're a global online investment platform for financial technology and crypto companies, Start Engine is focused on US businesses of all different shapes and sizes, and also allowing ordinary retail investors in the US in order to be able to invest through the different regulations that exist in the US as a result of the Jobs Act and various other changes in laws. Also, a new pitch live is Phase here. So Phase is an early stage company. So just to give a recap for those of you that are new to Bank to the Future or haven't watched previous broadcasts, we have two different types of pitches mainly. We have what's called primary offerings and we have what's called secondary offerings. Primary offerings are new pitches, and they are normally earlier stage companies. Now, all of our companies over our lifetime started out as an early stage companies. Some of them have gone bust. Some of them have gone on to become unicorns, which is a $1 billion plus business. And others are still in the phase of trying to reach that growth phase. But all of the early stage deals are here on the Invest tab, and Phase is an example. Which is an app that is integrated and allowing to spend your cryptocurrency through gift cards to be able to spend at many of the top stores and top brands across the world. And they've got they're focusing on making crypto more spendable and more easy. So this is an earlier stage deal. And it's approaching the minimum funding goal. But just as a recap, if you don't know how the platform works, the pitch has to reach its minimum funding goal in order for the investment to actually complete. And so it's approaching that minimum funding goal as we speak. And the way that we normally work is that when a company comes and applies, they would go to this raise button, apply for finance with us. Normally we would require them to have a lead investor, which would be an institutional venture capitalist or sophisticated professional investor that does this full time, negotiate the deal, set the terms, do the valuation, and then we allow our investors to co-invest to us via our syndicate model, which opens it up to a new pool of capital, which is different types of investors that meet the criteria based upon their country's securities laws. And we syndicate them together, which opens up opportunities to invest in companies that was not available before, unless you were a full-time professional venture capitalist. And so that is a new deal that's actually live. Other things that you would only know about if you were a premium member, and just to help you remember, a premium member means that you hold 10,000 Bank to the Future tokens on the fund section of your account, or you have downloaded the BF wallet, you have it on your iOS and Android device, you deposit 10,000 Bank to the Future tokens, and you connect it with your BnkToTheFuture.com account. We appreciate that process is quite a few steps. We will get better at making that process more and more simple, but that is the process at the moment. And so things you wouldn't know about is that we just launched the secondary offering. So for those of you that don't know, secondary offerings is our secondary market, and you'll notice that we've got this beta symbol here because we're currently in beta, which means that we're looking to test the technology, get investor feedback, but it is a live market that's open to non-US qualifying investors. And at the moment in beta, we're just listing one company, which is the Bitfinex SPV. And the secondary listings are for more established companies only, which have reached a certain level of brand recognition, whereby there is a market that is actually interested on getting exposure to the growth of that company. And the way that it actually works is that we create a market, and this becomes very relevant for our topic today, which is discussing the liquidity, discount and premium and secondary market valuations. And a really interesting opportunity that exists on the market right now, specifically because we are in beta, we are in a bear market, And that's creating a really interesting arbitrage opportunity that some of you might be looking at incorrectly. And I'd like to share some thoughts on that today, on that, and that's what will be the main topic today. Yeah, so we launched to our premium members only, and new secondary market placements are only open to our premium members. So we've got 69,000 at the time of this recording registered qualifying investors on our platform, and we open it up to a small group of premium members only, and that is gaining access to a deal before it lists on our secondary market. So one that you won't see here, but you will only see if you are a premium member, is the Circle deal. And if you are a premium member and you haven't got the link and you didn't receive the email for whatever reason, please do write into our support team and they can provide that link for you, because the Circle deal is almost gone. And here it is. So this is the allocation that we have before we push it onto our secondary market, probably at some point in Q2, Q3, as soon as we're out of beta, but we're distributing the initial allocation. There's a little bit left there. So if you want to be that, you need to be a premium member, you need to qualify, you need to do your verification certification process, and you can contact support if you don't have access to this at the moment. And also a new 48-hour head start deal that is almost subscribed as well, is Abra, which has been very popular. So for those of you that don't know, Circle owns the exchange Poloniex. It also owns the USDC stablecoin, which is the second largest stablecoin. Circle Invest, Circle Pay, and Seed Invest is their latest acquisition. So it's becoming a bit of a conglomerate. Abra is an application that is allowing you to buy stocks, exchange traded funds, cryptocurrencies, integrated with lots of different fiat currencies, and all collateralized by Bitcoin. And if you watch this video, it's a very, very interesting interview where Max Kaiser interviewed the CEO, Bill Barbright, on how the technology actually works and how it's providing liquidity, and what he considers to be one of the biggest liquidity providers for Bitcoin as this use case actually moves forward, because everything is collateralized by Bitcoin in a regulatory model that allows for that. And I caught up with Bill in Hong Kong at the Token 2049 conference that I was speaking at and he was speaking at. That is another deal that will shortly be listed here, but it may be completely subscribed to our premium members, as is proving to be pretty popular. So that's that one, those are the updates, and we have plenty more deals that we are currently working with in our pitch management team. Just so you know, we tend to work with about 4 to 5 deals maximum at a time, and we get hundreds of applications, but we filter for those that we think our investors will be interested in, and mainly look for them to have secured a lead investor and some of the terms and due diligence to be done. And where they haven't got a lead investor, we will spend some time introducing them to institutional venture capitalists, so that they can go through the process, and that often takes some time to get through. But those are the main things that are new. So just before we go through the liquidity premium and discount topic, I think we'll do that now actually, and then we'll go through to some of the news and updates from our portfolio companies. So what I wanted to do in this Bank to the Future Live in episode 6, again, if you've got any questions as you go through this, then please do start asking those questions. Famido will be taking notes, and we will be using that in order to answer your questions and determine what topics you'd like to discuss and see in the future. But this whole concept of a liquidity discount and premium, many people are forecasting in the securities token market that when you add liquidity to an illiquid asset, that it would actually trade at a premium to the underlying value of that asset, because people are willing to pay more for an asset that they can actually exit whenever they choose, versus an asset that doesn't actually have any liquidity and you have to wait a long time. So one of the problems that we've been trying to solve at Bank to the Future is how we can decrease the life cycle of people being able to liquidate their investments, whereby those who stay in the longest, and if those companies succeed, they will obviously get the largest reward. But for those, situations change and people want to get at liquidity, then we've got a secondary market whereby you can put an order up to other qualifying investors on BnkToTheFuture.com, and we put the two of you together and we automate a share transfer in a very seamless process. And this is what that process looks like currently for Bitfinex. Remember that in the secondary market, and this is where the interesting arbitrage opportunity exists, we are not actually, this is not Bitfinex itself listing on our market. We have already done a primary offering for Bitfinex and we own shares in Bitfinex. And those are all packaged up into a very special company that we set up. And that company, for every share that exists in that special company, it is backed by one share in Bitfinex. If Bitfinex pay a dividend, then we pass that on to anyone that owns shares in the SPV minus our 5% fee. And if Bitfinex goes public or exits or is acquired, then we would distribute those proceeds minus our 5% fee. And that is all done through the Bitfinex SPV. And in the meantime, if you wanted to liquidate, then you could actually either purchase on the secondary market, be matched up with somebody if there's somebody that wants to make a trade at that price. Through our OTC order book, over-the-counter order book means that we're matching a buyer and seller as opposed to anonymizing, automated matching. And you can just simply take one of those orders. But what's really interesting is one of the discussion forums on Bitfinex was discussing this concept of a price crash in Bitfinex, because if you look at the chart, the price has gradually moved down over time as we're in beta. But one thing I think people are misunderstanding is that, and this is why we try to present things and we try and make this more clear, but the last direct investment in Bitfinex is what we call a pricing event. And a pricing event means that somebody either invested in Bitfinex through an institutional funding round, known as a seed round, a Series A, Series B, Series C, all the way through as the company progresses, or there was a secondary trade in the direct equity at this price of $16. And that is the price of the underlying company. The way that we price things in private equity is that every now and then there's a pricing event, and that determines the share price until the next pricing event. And the next pricing event might be opening a new funding round at a higher or lower valuation, or a management buyout where the company may buy back some stocks, or the company goes public on a stock market, or it is acquired in a private deal, is what we call a pricing event. And the pricing event for Bitfinex is $16. Now, no matter what our SPV trades at, no matter what price people are willing to buy and sell with each other, that is still the price of the underlying equity, which means that if the SPV is trading below that $16 price, it could either mean a couple of things. Either the value of the company has actually gone down and that $16 price is overvalued, or the SPV, the special company that owns Bitfinex shares, has created a massive discount because people need liquidity, and they actually want to sell those shares at a discount to the value of the underlying company. And so this creates an arbitrage opportunity, because remember, that is the pricing event. And if that pricing event is maintained and Bitfinex gets acquired or goes public, it may, then that is still the value of the company. The value of the company doesn't change as a result of someone looking to buy and sell the SPV. It means that the people that own the SPV stock are willing to sell at a lower price because they want liquidity, or they believe that that they should sell at a discount simply because of that. So when someone here is selling at, so we got an order here at approximately $6. That is trading at a $10 discount to the last pricing event. Now, either you believe in that discount or you don't, and that's where a valuation analysis comes into play, which at Bank to the Future will become easier and easier to do. And we'll explain that a little bit more. But that means that those who are liquid and don't need liquidity and want to hold on for the longer term could purchase shares that were valued at $16 at the last pricing event for $6 because someone needs liquidity. Now, this is not financial advice, and this is complete speculation, and the truth will come through that. And this is not investment advice in any way, shape, or form. But that creates an interesting opportunity for people to actually, and my guess on this is, because it's in beta and liquidity is low at the moment, and also because we are in a bear market, and in a bear market, people often need liquidity again. So they, in bear markets, people are selling their assets, or they're trying to trade, for an opportunity to buy back at a different time, whenever they think the bear market is ending. We're in a current bear market in crypto. And so that creates undervalued opportunities for those that are liquid and want to do that, be on that for the longer term. Now, that does not change whether Bitfinex is acquired at $16, a higher price or a lower price. But that means that there is an opportunity to purchase shares at a discount to what would happen if you were purchasing the direct shares. Now, my guess is that during a bull market, and again, not financial advice, not investment advice, you should make your own analysis, you should do your own research. You will need to agree to certain risk warnings. You will need to understand your investment. And when you register with Bank to the Future, we do all we can to put you through a bit of test so that you understand this asset class. We make sure you're the type of investor that can afford to take the loss. And we make sure that you meet the criteria set by the local regulator in your local jurisdiction as far as we can. So this is not financial advice, but that creates an arbitrage opportunity for those that are longer term, more liquid. And if Bitfinex were to be acquired at that price, then there's a $10 premium there. There's this discount that's factored into the price. My guess is that during a bull market, maybe the liquidity premium or the liquidity discount might even change to a liquidity premium, where people are willing to pay more than the price of the direct or the last underlying, the last pricing event for accumulating Bitfinex, as maybe profits increase during, again, there's no guarantee of any of these things, but maybe profits increase during a bull market because it's got an increase in trading fees. And therefore, you might get a liquidity premium where people are willing to pay more for the SPV because there is a market for it, and there isn't a market for the direct underlying stock until or if the company ever goes public in the future. So that creates this liquidity and discount arbitrage opportunity, which I'm forecasting. And my guess is that as we start to launch out of beta, as we add to more and more companies to the secondary market, as valuations become more and more clear, they will get this interesting opportunity for arbitrage of the SPV, liquidity discount premium, versus the underlying company. Now, I hope that makes sense to you. I know there's a lot of financial jargon there, but that's an opportunity, an interesting observation. So when someone's talking about a Bitfinex market crash, there isn't actually a Bitfinex market crash, because the pricing, the illiquid stock has not actually changed its price, but people are looking for liquidity on the SPV, and therefore that's creating an opportunity. And as more and more people understand those opportunities, and more people will start to actually place orders on the OTC order book, then those discounts and premiums create really interesting and a completely new opportunity for people to actually speculate on the, you know, in addition to a longer term investment strategy, also being able to get additional value that would not have been available if this model didn't actually exist. Now, what I think is going to become really interesting is as we start adding more and more companies to the secondary market. Now, remember this important thing. So when you make a purchase on the secondary market, one of the things that we do, so if you clicked to do a buy order here, and you did the, you know, you met the minimum investment criteria, or you had sufficient balance in order to place an order. Let's just do 100. Maybe I don't have the balance here. Remember, if you have Bank to the Future tokens, then you can get a 50% discount on your trading fees. Just deposit them to your BnkToTheFuture.com account. Approximately 65% of our investors in beta are taking advantage of getting those discounted trading fees. Then in the next step, it will actually walk you through some of the risk warnings and a reminder that you don't actually get information rights in these companies. So that's an important thing to consider when you're actually making a purchase on these secondary markets as well. But where it becomes interesting is when we start adding more and more companies here, because we are investors in, you know, our SPV companies, approximately, give or take. I haven't actually done a recent check of the numbers, but there's over 100 special purpose vehicles that we've set up over our time at Bank to the Future. And as we add more of the established companies to it, we can start to notice and start to do some more evaluation analysis. So when we go through updates on some of our portfolio companies, you'll start to see some of the valuations that other companies are raising at. And when you click on here, we try to provide, because we don't have information rights necessarily, we cannot guarantee that we have the accurate information, and that's one of the risk warnings. But we can give you the last information that we do have. We just can't guarantee that it is the most up-to-date information. But we know that the last reported Bitfinex had 175 million shares, and therefore you can take 175 million, multiply it by the underlying pricing event to get an estimate of valuation. And then you can look at how that compares to if you were purchasing it on through the SPV, and the discount you could get to that, or the premium you could get depending on how the market is, to create a valuation for Bitfinex. And then you're able to compare that with some of the competitors, other companies, and other you know, companies that are, and some of the funding rounds that they're actually raising at in the primary markets. And this creates a really interesting opportunity as this market grows, for us to actually create pricing events, and for people to have more information and just do more analysis really in general, as a result of this. And remember that this is all powered by the Bank to the Future token, which is why we're incredibly interested during this bear market at where we can take this from here and how we can build the network. And this is personally, in our eyes, the perfect time to do this is during a crypto bear market, because during the bull market, you tend to get, you know, it's harder to accumulate such assets. We're forecasting that such opportunities may not actually exist, and it may move from discounts to premiums. We can't guarantee that. Not financial advice. Do your own research. Not investment advice. But you know, that's one analysis of what actually might start happening as we move into a bull market, and we'll be increasing the use case and utility as we start to adjust to the securities token markets. And the Bank to the Future token will be what we're using in all of our integrations in order to create incentives and create our membership and rewards incentives, as you see that we have done in both the secondary market, the primary market, priority access to deals, and as we roll out more features as Bank to the Future gets past these bear markets and the market moves into the bull market, at which point it becomes a lot harder to innovate, because you're spending a lot more time servicing customers, scaling and dealing with other challenges that come, as we saw. You know, we've been through many bull markets in crypto, at BnkToTheFuture.com, because we started this adventure way back in 2010, which is a lifetime in terms of crypto markets. So that's the topic that I wanted to cover. And what I'm going to do at this stage is move to the next part of the talk. And then before we start going on through questions and answers, I talked for a long time, so I'm just going to check in with Famida. Famida, has everything been okay? Is the Wi-Fi holding up? Has there been patchiness? People asking questions? Are we all okay? I'm just checking in.
Yeah, everything is looking good. We've got a couple of questions, and yeah, your screen sharing is good, sound is good, perfect.
Great. Okay. So the last bit that I wanted to cover is we covered some of the current deals that are closing soon. We covered some of the new secondary market listings that we're looking to actually launch. We discussed the liquidity premiums. We discussed new deals that are just available to our premium members that have 10,000 BFT, and some of the new deals that are coming through. And I just wanted to cover some of the updates that we're seeing from our portfolio companies. Here's some of the news stories that we picked out this week. And if you find new news stories that we didn't cover and you'd like me to cover them next week and give my opinion and perspective on it, then please do just tweet us, send us a message in Telegram, put something in the comments here, maybe message on Facebook or any other the networks, however, whatever your taste is and whatever your preference is and however you found us. This is one of our portfolio companies. So you can see some of our previous investments. To get some of the deals, if you go to the companies page, you can see all the deals that are actually that we've either invested in directly or we've done a primary offering or a secondary offering. But one of those companies, and hopefully this works, is AirTM. So AirTM did a funding round with us a while ago, their first early funding round. You can see the pitch there. And this is when they did their last funding round with us, and you can check them out. But they just did their Series A, and they secured investment in developing countries, and a lot of the growth has come from a really interesting country, which is Venezuela, which sorry for all the people that are suffering from the hyperinflation and bad monetary policy that the government has actually been implementing there, but they're providing a way for people to actually get some stability using crypto denominated through US dollars, through smart contracts and interesting other applications that they built. But they just secured an investment from Coinbase Ventures, and that puts them in what we call an up round. And for those of you that have not heard of that terminology, an up round means that they create a new pricing event at a higher valuation than when the previous investors invested on BnkToTheFuture.com. And so what that does is that increases the share price based upon the share price that they negotiated with Coinbase Ventures when they made their investment. And if you are one of the previous AirTM investors, then we will actually be making that available to you to actually reinvest, because so keep an eye out for that. We'll be sending an email to AirTM investors. But congratulations to AirTM that have secured investment from Coinbase Ventures and created an up round pricing event for AirTM. As they get closer and closer to becoming a more established brand, where the SPV may qualify for our secondary market in the future, depending on how they progress from here. So we look forward to continually watching AirTM, as that is one of those companies that seems to be progressing towards becoming a household brand. Here's some of the household brands in crypto, some of the announcements that they've been making. So for those of you that don't know, Kraken was an earlier stage company. So if you wanted to see whether this was one of our companies, you would go here to the companies page. You can see some of the companies. You would type in Kraken here. Their actual company is known as a different name. But you can see that that's on the list, and you can see some of the previous funding. We were involved at very early stage in Kraken, but they've just announced that they're looking to do a funding round at a $4 billion valuation. So that creates a new pricing event for those investors that have regarding Kraken and our involvement.
Hey, and sorry to interrupt you. You did drop out a little bit, so if you could just rewind back a little bit.
Okay, how much did it? Where did I drop out?
You started talking about Kraken.
Just when I first started talking about Kraken. Okay. So Kraken was one of the companies that we did earlier stage investment in, and they're now created a new pricing event because they're raising at a $4 billion valuation. And so for those premium members, keep an eye out, and we'll be announcing our involvement in that process exclusively to premium members first. So congratulations to Kraken for getting to the $4 billion valuation. And when we send out to our premium members, they'll be able to access their path and how Kraken believes that their roadmap on how they get to a $40 billion valuation from here, and how they're actually how they hope to achieve that. Speaking of Kraken, they're also made an announcement that they're actually poaching Sony studio head as they increase their executive team in the marketing side. So they did do some layoffs at the lower level, but they're also increasing their staff at the higher level. And so Kraken's making the news again there. Also, this is an interesting one. For those of you who don't know, BitGo is a custodial solution that allows many exchanges and various other applications to use their wallet and multi-signature infrastructure and custodial solutions in order to store Bitcoins and other cryptocurrencies. But while this one is interesting, is because one of our portfolio companies that we recently secured funding for. So let's go to the companies page. And if you look up Securitize, Securitize is a protocol for creating security tokens, and they're live right now creating security tokens for different companies. We did a funding round on Bank to the Future. You can see the original pitch by clicking that link. As this account is not an investor in the Securitize round, I get limited access. I can't see the other parts of the pitch. If I was an investor, then I'd be able to see the investor page and various other parts of it. But they were involved in the security token, creating the security token for the Blockchain Capital Fund. For those of you that don't know, Blockchain Capital was the first venture capital fund that decided to tokenize a part of their venture capital arm. And they created a token that is later now being called a security token. And it was when they moved it towards a security token, the securitized protocol was used in order to convert that to a whitelisted model and try and make that token move in compliance with securities laws. But BitGo has actually announced that they'll be doing a custody support for the Blockchain Capital security token, which means that they would have done an integration with the securitized protocol. And that will allow people to actually have custodial solutions for securities tokens. And at the BF wallet, we can start looking, because we are integrated with the securitized protocol, so that when we do a securities token offering through BnkToTheFuture.com, people can use the BF wallet in order to store those. We're in beta right now, integrating with both the securitized protocol. We're also looking at Blockstream's Liquid network, Liquid Securities network, and we're issuing the first token from the securities token offering that we've done in the past. And so congratulations to BitGo, Blockchain Capital, Securitize, for moving forward the security token ecosystem, which is in its infancy at the moment. And so because we're an investors in Securitize as one of our portfolio companies, we thought we'd cover that here. And also one of our very, very early investments, in fact, BitPay was I personally spoke at the very first Bitcoin conference in Prague in 2011, and Tony Glippi was there pitching the concept of BitPay, trying to make it easier for merchants to accept payments with Bitcoin. But BitPay actually gave an update here on their 2018 figures. Remember, this was a bear market, and the growth they had through the bear market, and also their integrations with some of stable coins. They've been looking at the USD, the USDC, which is the coin that is operated by Circle, the company that we're open to our premium members for a secondary market listing. The Gemini dollar and the Paxos coins. The CEO of Paxos got to have a nice meeting with him and catch up with him for the first time at my trip to Hong Kong. So we're really excited about some of the things that they're bringing to market. But you can see how they performed and some of the announcements there from BitPay, which is an indicator of how merchant adoption is happening with both stable coins now and Bitcoin. So those are all the news stories that I'm going to cover this week. The rest of this is about taking some of your questions before we close this up, just before the 1 hour mark. We're trying to keep these to under 1 hour, and I do actually have to check out of my room after this in the next 10 minutes or so. So we're going to use the rest of the time for me to actually stop sharing my screen so that you get to see my mug. Hopefully you can now see me now, and I can speak to you about some of the things, some of your questions. So for me to hopefully you've got some questions that either came from some of our social networks or as a result of some of the things that the live viewers were discussing and want me to answer. So let's take a few questions.
Sure. Yeah, we do actually have quite a few. I think I'm just going to go with some of the main ones that came through in the chat.
Great.
Simon, you mentioned 6 unicorns, multi-billion in the case of Circle, that BF has raised capital for. How do you see those companies eventually exiting via traditional equity markets?
Really interesting question. So at the moment, our industry is ripe with mergers and acquisitions. So in my time in Hong Kong, I got to spend a bit of time with traditional financial players. They all want to get into our industry. The writing's on the wall. Every central bank, every investment bank, every large Fortune 500 FTSE listed company, every single institution is looking at blockchain, crypto, and looking at how they're going to adjust to this market. The easiest way in is through a merger, an acquisition, and we're seeing a lot of that there. So I believe that there's a lot of people in the bear market. Companies are looking to pick up some undervalued opportunities, and in the bull market, they'll be looking to get on board as the crypto market becomes more and more dominant, as financial technology becomes more and more make sure that they're not disrupted into irrelevance. I also see an interesting scenario where there might be we have had reverse mergers. So for example, Bitstamp, they did an acquisition from a traditional Korean company that wanted to get into the crypto industry. So they acquired Bitstamp, and our investors received the exit proceeds from that. I also see, I think, as the crypto, again, it's a bet on the growth of the crypto market and the companies that are going to take advantage and capitalize on that as more and more things become financial technology. But we have seen reverse mergers where companies have gone public by acquiring an already listed public company and then floating onto a stock market as a result of a reverse merger. We've also seen share buybacks. So a couple of our portfolio companies have already determined that they've got enough capital reserves to buy back the investors. We had offers from other companies like Wirex and smaller companies like Bitcoin Romania that have done share buybacks for our investors. Companies like Bitfinex, while there is no guarantee of dividends, they have been paying dividends to produce returns. And then I think we're going to see some of our first IPOs. They're probably waiting for the bull market till the IPOs come through. But companies like Coinbase, I should imagine, would actually be looking to do an IPO at probably a much higher valuation is what they'd be targeting, and looking to do that less conservative strategy during the next bull market, which would be a time to actually maybe go through a traditional public. And then we've also got securities tokens. So there is, no one knows where the market's going now, but we have the opportunity to tokenize many of these, these equity and these companies. And we're certainly dealing with a lot of the players, and some of the deals that we got coming up, keep an eye out for. Premium members will get the access first. But some really exciting developments on the security token exchange front, and some of the deals that we got coming up, and some partnerships that we'll be announcing as well. So there's plenty of opportunities, and then you got the Bank to the Future secondary market as well. So those are the main ways. And one thing to point out, if you haven't noticed it, make sure that under the invest button of a deal, there is actually a quick FAQ where we answer about 6 questions. And one of those questions is, how do I get a return on investment? And it's important to make sure you remind yourself of the different ways of doing that. So just as a summary, IPO, which is a listing on a traditional stock market, that can be done either via new listing or a reverse listing. Mergers and acquisitions, which is where there's a private investor, or they merge with another company and you get stock in a new company as a result. Or an MBO, which is a management buyout, which is where the management team actually buy it. Or less common, but there may be highly profitable companies that pay dividends, some of the cash cows companies. And then we've got the new secondary market, which may create discounts or premiums, or the SPVs. And then we've got the securities token market. So these are the different ways in which returns can be made. And this illiquid market is moving more and more every day to a slightly more liquid market than there has traditionally been.
All right, Simon, it looks like there's about 5 minutes to go until it's 4 p.m. What do you want to do? Do you want to answer another question?
Yeah, let's take it till 4 p.m. and do the last 5 minutes.
All right. So what does Simon see as the future for Bank to the Future? Keeping the same model, raising capital for companies and expanding the SPV secondary market. Are there any new plans for the future?
Yeah, we got some really exciting stuff, but at Bank to the Future, our approach has always been that we don't announce things until they're actually 99.9% there. And that has been a policy that's always served us, because we hate to disappoint. And just in the world of business, things can go wrong, things can change, especially in crypto markets. So we never announce things, but we're working on a couple of merger and acquisition deals at the moment. We're really excited about some of the forthcoming projects, integrations into the BF wallet. The secondary market's keeping us really busy. At the same time, we've got so much more improvements that we'd love to do on the platform, the existing platform. But we're waiting really for, we're trying to make as many of those improvements before the next bull market, so that we're ready for scaling. At the same time, we haven't done any layoffs as a company. We are actually hiring. We're looking to increase our marketing team at the moment. We've got customer service roles. Anyone interested in working on that, business development, pitch management. We've got different areas that we're currently interviewing for. So if you're interested in working in a company like Bank to the Future as this industry grows, then we're currently hiring in the current market to improve the offering that we can give to people. And we've got some really, really big high-level plans that unfortunately we can't announce, but involved in the merger acquisition side, and some things that we're looking to do to expand. We're keeping a very close eye on the securities token market. We're planning our approach and gradually iterating into that. But at the same time, we're looking at making sure that our model that's already working is actually doing that, because a lot of innovation is happening. But we've got something that's actually working. We've got a good community. We've got a good base to build upon. And we'll start looking at how we can tokenize some of these, some of our assets in the future. We're committed to our niche, and this is where we originally started, that we believe that the financial technology and crypto sector is the disruption of a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity, traditional financial sector. And we believe that every single financial product in the world is going to be disrupted by financial technology companies, and we've remained focused on that niche. And so while some people might see like different competitors that come through, we're just going to focus on that niche. And we think there's a mountain of opportunity that Bank to the Future can capitalize on through either supporting others that are going to make that difference, or doing it ourselves in our particular area, which is disruption in capital markets, venture capital, and giving our investors the opportunity to diversify widely and invest in what we believe could be the disruption of a multi-trillion-dollar industry, and every single financial product being disrupted or adjusted as the financial technology and crypto sector grows. So plenty of things that we've got. We will at some point make sure that Bank to the Future is on our secondary market, and we release insider, different updates to those that are actually shareholders than we can to customers as well. But many of our customers are investors because we raised all of our funding through our own platform. Keep an eye out for updates, but remember, our particular approach is we're working on a lot of things, but we never announce something until it's 100% there, because we don't like the approach that a lot of companies follow of proof of press release, where they're announcing press release after press release, but never actually executing or delivering upon that. We could definitely be better at our marketing. We could be definitely at our communication, better at our communications. And that is why we're doing these Bank to the Future live broadcasts. And that's why we're expanding our marketing team to get better at making sure that we're doing that. But at the same time, never announcing things. We like to, wherever we can, make sure I'm saying this right. Under promise and over deliver is our goal. Almost said it the wrong way around. So I think that's it. I think we're up now. At some point, maybe I could probably take one more question, but I think a cleaner or someone might chuck me out of my room soon. So if there's a closing question you'd like us to do, or for me, that you can make the call, we could take that for next week, unless if there's not a really interesting question as the final one.
There are actually interesting questions, but I do think we should just answer them next week when you have a little bit more time to give more detail to these questions. So,
great. Okay, so keep asking your questions. Those that are watching this on the recording rather than the live, then please put your questions under the video in the comments section. Head over to our Telegram group, ask a question there, or tweet us, or put it in Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever you may be. And we'll try and merge those together for next week, and we'll take some of the questions there. Please do like this video if you enjoyed the content. Help us out by sharing it. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button and you hit that bell button so that you get the notifications every time that we go live and anything else we might be up to. Thank you for attending again. We're on the 6th episode. I think we're getting better at this. And we are happy to take any suggestions on what you'd like to see next week, what we could improve, and we're completely open to all those. Famida, thank you again for moderating, picking out the questions, making sure this all runs smoothly, and we will see you next week for episode 7 of Bank to the Future Live.